Hey beautiful people, in this video we're going to talk about what are the 4 organizational hurdles to strategy execution. I want to explore with you the most common and most costly organizational hurdles to strategy execution. They aren't just delays or what people refer to as bad communication. They're the invisible coordination breakdowns that show up in many industries, roles, and many systems and many projects. You learn what they are, how to spot them, and how executional intelligence enables you to overcome each one of them and to restore momentum and clarity and accountability. And I don't mean restore accountability by drilling down and micromanaging people. I mean restoring accountability by helping people step up into contributing to other people, which is why we all come to work in the first place anyway. That and to earn money. Is your team running slower than you think that they should, given the resources that you have and the capacity that you think people should have? I'm going to talk about the 4 barriers and see which one of them, you can see which one of them applies to you. You've got a strategy, but many times your strategy unravels in the execution, or you've got a plan or a project. Many times it unravels in the execution. And what if we were able to make the most invisible execution risks visible? So the things that are going to bite you in the proverbial, the things that are going to sneak up on you and you're not necessarily going to see them until you already have, death and destruction on your hands, but the things that you hadn't anticipated, I want you to be able to start seeing those and learning how to be able to anticipate them and deal with them. These 4 hurdles derail even the most top performing teams. So let's dive in and talk about them. Execution fails for coordination reasons, not for strategy reasons. So many times when we build a great strategy and it fails, we look to the strategy to understand what went wrong. Were we attacking the wrong market? Were we bringing out the wrong product? Were we engaging with the customers ineffectively? Was our product wrong time, wrong place? What was going on? All of those questions are very important, but in the absence of having good strategy execution, it's very difficult to be able to pinpoint where your strategy breakdowns or strategy failures are. When projects fail, we often blame poor planning, lack of talent, and budget issues. But research has shown that the true cause typically lies in invisible coordination structures, not individual efforts or tools. Lots of times that I've worked on projects, people will look to bring in new tools to help with the communication, or we'll say that if we have something happening between 2 different functions and there's recurrent breakdowns, that it's a communication failure. And so we'll send people off to communication workshops and all of those kind of things. But one of the things that I've seen is consistently is that those will give us a small momentary bump and maybe an improvement. People kind of feel better about it for a little while, but then the structures that they're working in will ultimately bring them back down again. One of the tools that we've used over many years is what I refer to as the execution layer. It's a suite of tools that allow us to be able to see and practice the invisible execution layer, invisible to us now, execution layer that really is what delivers on successful projects and successful strategies. There are 4 organization hurdles to strategy execution. I talk about these in my execution by design framework, and they are delayed handoffs, excessive rework, overwhelm and burnout, and trust erosion. So if you think about your project or you think about the strategy that you're working to deliver on, and delayed handoffs, excessive rework, overwhelm and burnout, or trust erosion resonate with you as underlying issues that are preventing you from being successful in your project, then let's dive into that and let me give you a different perspective on those, because those sound like almost intangible things that are very difficult for us to kind of catch or get a handle on. But if you understand executional intelligence and you build executional intelligence for yourself, these things become much more transparent and much more readily available to begin to tackle and to begin to have an impact on. So let's talk a little bit about delayed handoffs. Delayed handoffs happen when we have vague ownership and unclear roles. Now, lots of times we'll try and solve that with RACIC charts, but I was talking to a senior executive a couple of weeks ago who's one of my clients, and he said, we can't update the RASIC fast enough. Our team is moving so fast and the changes are coming at us so quickly, and our ambition around the innovation that we want to bring to market is so huge that we are shifting and moving within our roles on a constant basis, and we're trying to accommodate each other as we work together. So a RASIC chart might give us a good kind of fallback guideline, but there's something between the chart and our ability to be able to deliver that is really, really important for us. And I would propose to you that that is executional intelligence. The solution to these delayed handoffs is really to define explicit customer and performer roles. So human beings relate to each other in terms of how we support each other, how we help each other, how we deliver value to each other, how we interest each other. And in doing that, we have a natural built-in understanding of how to relate to each other. And I would suggest that if we start thinking of that from a work perspective in terms of customer and performer, what we'll find is that if I'm the customer for work that I'm asking you to do, then it is up to me to define what is going to satisfy me for that work, and up to you to work with me to define what's the best way to define those conditions for success or conditions for satisfaction, and to be able to deliver on those over time. And how do I support you in doing that? The other thing that shows up in projects is excessive rework. So because we have breakdowns in the execution layer, we also have a lot of breakdowns that accumulate in rework. And consistent rework over a long period of time actually erodes people's self-confidence, people's enjoyment of their work, people's patience. People get very frustrated, people's trust with the organization, and people's trust with each other. So if you think about our inability to be able to have design conversations with each other quickly and effectively, our ability to be able to be really clear on what it is it's going to take for us to be satisfied with a small amount of work in a given moment, then what you can see is we end up cycling through that rework and more rework, and that erodes our sense of purpose, our sense of self, and our sense of value. Many times within projects there's no clear definition of done, and a lot of projects now are using the term definition of done, but in the absence of having a clear customer who can define done, definition of done now is just another thing that I have to pay attention to and have to look after. If I'm doing that in relation to a customer and I have someone I can talk to about what definition of done actually means for the work that I am undertaking, then I begin to have much more productive, effective, and related conversations where I'm bringing different intelligences to the table to allow me to be able to really define that and scope it out effectively. If we understand the solution to be co-designing satisfaction criteria from the start, not at the end, and also on a recurring, ongoing basis. So our projects are moving super fast. Our understanding of done shifts and changes over time. It's up to my customer, if I have a customer for work that I'm delivering, to help me manage that over time, because they're the one who's seeing the bigger context of what's going on with the project, and they're in a better position to be able to help me refine what it is I'm delivering to them as the context of the project moves and shifts. So agility is built into our ability to be able to coordinate effectively with our internal customers around smaller levels of work that need to be done to produce the aggregate success of the project. The third organizational hurdle is really overwhelm and burnout. And if that resonates with you, if you're watching this video and going, oh, I totally understand overwhelm and burnout, well then I'm really talking to you and I really want to help you understand this, because one of the primary causes of overwhelm and burnout is hidden or assumed commitments. So I'll sign up to do something that is a subset of a chunk of work that needs to be done for a project. I'm assuming that I'm going to have 10 other people to help me, but the resources on the project are being stretched to their absolute limit, and the 10 other people that I needed to help me deliver on something, 3 of them are now working on another part of the project full time, 2 of them are on vacation, and the rest of them are, the other 5 of them are completely overwhelmed with the work they're already doing, and they might be able to give me 2 or 3 hours here and there. Now I've made a commitment on something I'm going to deliver, anticipating I was going to have 10 people to be able to help me. I now have the equivalent of like 2 or 3 people if I'm lucky, and I'm also having to run after them and to beg help from them. So what happens lots of times happens is we assume that we're going to get resources that will allow us to be able to deliver on it. And many of the project leads and project managers I know are always, as I rudely call it, bleating on about resources, because they'll make a commitment before they understand the commitments they need to support what it is that they're going to do. So one of the big shifts as we start building executional intelligence is we say, I would like to offer to be able to do this. I'm not committing to it yet. I'm going to have conversations with a half a dozen people. I'm going to make sure I understand their availability and their willingness to commit to be able to support me in doing this and be my performers for the work I am committing to. And then we come back and we make the commitment. It gives us much more transparency and visibility into what it is that's going on. And if the people around us are doing something similar, we collectively build visibility into our execution layer, and we build executional intelligence in our ability to be able to work with this and manage it. The last one I want to talk about is trust erosion. So the feeling of not trusting your colleagues is horrible. It's really uncomfortable, and it sort of saddens us and erodes our sense of self and erodes our sense of peace when we come to work, and it contributes to the overwhelm and the burnout. And so we have unacknowledged breakdowns because the system we're working in is designed for hierarchical command and control approach. The complexity of our projects do not allow for that anymore. The intelligence that we're bringing to the table gets wasted in that sort of command and control micromanagement environment. If we step into an understanding of executional intelligence, what we can do is we can recognize and acknowledge breakdowns around us. We can understand them and we can fix them in the moment in a way that rebuilds trust. When we normalize repair conversations within an organization, and we're not doing blame and shame, we're simply doing design adjustments, what we do is we build trust with each other over time. There's a famous story about Lexus when they first put out one of their model cars, and they had a huge breakdown with it and they had to do a massive factory recall. But the factory recall that they did, how they handled it and how they took care of their customers in the middle of that, actually built more trust with their customers. And one of the things that's really evident from that is people acknowledge that breakdowns happen. I mean, you've seen all the bumper stickers that say shit happens. So breakdowns happen all around us, and they're a natural part of living and being human. Our ability to be able to manage those conversations, have repair conversations around them, and not fall into the blame and shame game is a really, really powerful way of building and amplifying trust across a project. That's an integral part of executional intelligence and of our ability to be able to leverage it and use it to deliver value within our projects. As you start thinking about your ability to build executional intelligence and you resonate with some of these organizational hurdles, I have a free white paper for you that I think will help you. It's called Execution by Design. So it's helping you see the invisible executional layer within your project or within your organization or for your strategy, execution, delivery. It's on my website, www.jenniferkenny.com/execution, or you can find it under the free resources on my website. I encourage you to download it, read it. Let me know what you think. Let me know whether or not you're interested in building your own executional intelligence, and I would love to help you do it. I wish you the very best of luck.